Today we want to talk about the backbeat, a very, very, very important concept for drummers, not just for drummers, but especially for drummers. The beat is the pulse of a measure. So the beat is where you might nod your head or tap your foot, and we have different beats within a measure. The downbeat is the point where the conductor might stroke down, so that's usually the one, the first beat of a measure. In the next video, we will talk about the offbeat, but today we want to talk about the backbeat. The backbeat is the 2 and the 4 of a 4/4 bar. And that is usually played, for us drummers, on the snare drum. So no matter what you play, if you want to play the backbeat, your rhythm is always accompanied by a strong hit on the backbeat on the 2 and the 4 on the snare. My theory is that it originated from jazz music. It's the root of modern drum set playing. And already in early jazz, there was an emphasis on the 2 and the 4, and later it was played with the hi-hat. So the left foot would play the hi-hat on the 2 and the 4, and this then went into modern rock music, and for over 100 years, our Western popular music is dominated by the backbeat. And you can see that very clearly if you listen to a song like, for example, Learn to Fly by the Foo Fighters or Beautiful Day by U2, you will notice that the drums are not always playing the 2 and 4, but nevertheless, there is still something percussive going on the 2 and the 4. So even though the snare drum is playing mostly 2 and 4, whenever it's not, there is still something to cover the gap. That's how important the backbeat is. Let me demonstrate. I will play something, just anything on the drums, but whatever I do, I will always play the 2 and the 4 on the snare drum. Even if I don't play anything else, just the 2 and 4, you will notice that you have a good feeling of where the beat is. You have a good rhythmical orientation. Of course, I not always play the backbeat on the snare drum. When it's softer, I might play a rim click, or just to change it a little bit, sometimes I play the backbeat on one of the toms. Or if it's a bass solo, for example, I play 16th notes on the hi-hat and accent the 2 and 4. But there's always this accent on the 2 and 4. So the backbeat is not the snare drum, the backbeat is the place within the bar where you accent the notes, but that's usually played on the snare drum. So if someone asks you to play a solid backbeat, that does not necessarily mean that you play only the snare drum on 2 and 4, but that you have to play a reliable groove with a strong emphasis on the 2 and the 4. And everything else is just embellishments. Let's be honest, usually in rock and pop music, we have to play a simple groove with a nice fat backbeat. That is the most important part, and that's totally fine. And if you know the concept, you can switch it around. You can displace the backbeat or get rid of it just for a strong contrast, for a strong effect. Okay, I hope that made the concept of the backbeat a little bit clearer for you, and take care and bye-bye.